All right, good evening, everybody. Post-draft show, draft grades, PEL, Primetime Elite League, Season 5 draft is over. We're going to do the draft grades on the video tonight. You look at the Bears, CPU draft, but their first two picks, I think, are going to help them. We did talk about them needing secondary help, and then you look through the rest of it and got some decent guys that can probably be on the practice squad or depth. I'll give the computer a B- for that. Bengals also a CPU draft. You look at what they got. They did get some depth at receiver. Townsend may play, but the other guy won't. Got a CB that can develop into somebody pretty decent. Two CBs that can be decent, but I'll give that a C. Pretty average draft, CPU draft. Yours truly, the Bills. Woodley, I'm very happy with. He's got a good speed, strength combination with 93 hit power. He can slide into DT and he'll start alongside Casey. Pratt we got as a backup quarterback because both Kelly and my other backup Peterman are gonna expire. And then George is gonna be the possession receiver I got. I thought he'd be a little bit. I'm a little disappointed in that pick, but Mail was good value in the fourth along with Pruitt, who's gonna be a power back that we needed after we let Jaquil Roberts go in free agency. And then we got good value in Scipio, Austin, and Mariani. Really good with those last three picks. All three of them will make the roster easily and contribute on special teams, if not, spot play in some cases. So give myself a B+ on that one. No superstar development. We always strive for the best here in Buffalo. Or Brooklyn, I should say. All right, Broncos. Some of his were CPU picks, but that strong safety Henderson was a beast, man. Really good players. Also had superstar development. Then Jerry's also going to play, probably start. And the rest of those guys are decent. That'll fill a role. So I give him probably give him an A- for the picks that he made. Those last couple ones he didn't make. So good job for the Broncos first draft. Browns. Got a really good cornerback in the last pick of the first round. That was good value there. And then he started taking some really good guys overall. I really like what he did up through the fourth round, and then the rest of it, kind of ran off the rails a little bit, but not too bad. I'll have to give that one an A- also. Bucks CPU team. That's my second PSN on the Bucks if anyone was curious. But look at that corner he got in Hartman, second pick overall. Wow, really good guy. And then Carey, he looks like a good player. 94 strength. Good gracious. So he got a couple good buys at the top, and then a good strong safety in the seventh round. Wow, look at that. Gave the CPU a nice B+, if not an A-. That's a good draft right there for those three picks right there. Good job. Cardinals did a CPU draft, but he did get a receiver to help at long. He looks pretty good. And then Frank's at linebacker, 87 speed and 90 acceleration. That's a good job right there. And then you go through the rest of it. The CPU, not a bad job. I give that a solid B draft right there for the CPU. Chargers, Deontay. Didn't have a lot of picks, but he went definitely with speed. You see Evans and Paul, his first two picks there. And then the rest of it, try to do the best you could. I have to give that a C+. The speed is nice, but he's going to have to work on developing those guys to get them on the field. The Chiefs, this is his first draft. Started out with a corner, another fast corner in the first round there. And then he didn't have the advantage of scouting, so I'm not going to be too hard on him. But that was a good pick in the second with Barnett at left guard. Oh, those two could be brothers right there. That'd be a little story. Dunn at tackle was a good selection. And then Desir and then Wallace had the nice story at fullback. I think this is going to be a solid B+ because he didn't have a lot of scouting points. So I'll give him a little advantage for that. Colts, speed once again. And that's prevalent in his first three picks right there. And then he kind of stuck away and started watching the NCAA draft, so I won't be too hard on him. I give that if you like speed, it's a higher grade, but I give it a B- overall. The two corners are nice, and then the halfback will be nice out of the backfield, and then the rest of it was CPU. Cowboys, who was switched from the Texans, got a nice receiver in Daniel in the first round. Kelly in the second, it's a good rating, but he's going to be a little slower. I think he's a bigger type of back. And then you go through the rest of it, it's not too great. I'll have to give that a B minus, I would say. Dolphins CPU draft, definitely a focus on speed here. Combs, a really fast corner. We've seen that a lot in this draft. And then Vincent at receiver. This was something he needed. That another speed threat to go with Grant. That he's going to be a good player. And then Tap was good value in late second at tackle. And then the rest of it is more speed. Ellis in the fifth is a good value right there. I like that selection by the CPU. So I think he set his draft board. I have to give him a solid B on that one. That was pretty good throughout the draft there. And the Eagles, this is a CPU draft. CPU really didn't do him too many favors here. That's going to be a D. He doesn't need any help anyway. Jeff and the Falcons, he was a little disappointed on his first pick, but I think he'll grow into something pretty good. Came back with the next incarnation of Jerome Bettis, the bust right there. And then the rest of it, you got pretty decent value throughout of it, I say. I have to give this one probably a B minus. Not bad, but no real standout picks here for the Falcons. 49ers, Gratz slid a little bit. He didn't come out as good as I thought he was going to be, but he still is going to be a good guy to fill in for Christie, who left in free agency. Rodriguez is superstar development. He got a backup quarterback for Lepsis. And then the receiver right here came out all right. But then, the rest of the draft, I think he did a decent job of filling depth. I give that a solid B. Giants was a CPU draft, but Will Moss at receiver is going to be really good. And we talked about it in the pregame. He needed a receiver to go at Beckham, and this guy is it. He's going to be happy with that. And then the rest of it ain't that great once you go through it. So I do have to give him a B minus. Moss is a really good player. Jag CPU draft. He did get a quarterback. We talked about that too. And this guy's a mobile guy, came out 78 overall. He's going to be a good player. He's probably going to be the starter. And then Johnson at free safety behind him was a good player. But then the rest of it kind of fell off the rails. So I had to give the CPU a C plus on that one for a good first two picks. All right, the Jets and Ragjob. Stanley's going to be a good player. He's going to be a beast at D tackle. And then he got some good value throughout the rest of this draft, and Troutman, McGee, and the tight end. He probably found the one good tight end that was decent. And then Corona at fullback is a good value in the sixth. I had to get that a B plus. That's a solid draft right there for the Jets. Lions is a CPU draft. Guerrero at D tackle is going to help pass rush D tackle. But the rest of it's not too impressive. That's a C minus draft for the CPU. Packers, another CPU draft. We did get him a DN and Wetzel that will probably help out a little bit. But they traded their picks early. So that's probably a D plus draft for the CPU. Panthers, he tried to trade some picks. I think he traded some middle round picks, but the linebacker Greer, I think, was a good selection. He needed help there. Then the quarterback Johnston, that's good. He needed a backup for Cam Newton. He filled a need there for sure. But then the rest of it wasn't too great. I'll give that a C plus. Not a bad effort there. The Patriots did kind of come in draft, and number one pick overall, AC Bird is a beast. You see that, 21 years old, and really good pass rush guy, all around linebacker. Really, he needed that. Needed speed in the linebacking core. That was a good pick. But then the rest of it wasn't that great. But before the number one pick and making a good pick there, and a good value in the six by the CPU, I'd give him a C plus for that. Raiders, this was his first draft. Welcome. And you see his first two picks were good values. He got offensive lineup, which we said he needed, and a guy at right tackle, and then followed it up with a Clemmings at 80 overall right there. And then the rest of it got good value in the 6 with Aguilar at guard, but once again, not having a lot of scouting points. I give him a B-. That was a good effort. Rams CPU draft. I won't go too deep into it. But you look at it overall, I give him a solid C for that. First 2 picks were good, but the rest weren't that great. Ravens CPU draft. A couple decent players at offensive line, which they needed help with. That's probably about a C right there too. Redskins, he did not draft, but he got a couple of players that'll help in Sullivan and McGraw. Although that receiver, I think, should have been more of a playmaker, in my opinion. And you scroll through the rest of it, nothing too great right there. That's about a C, I'd say, again, for the CPU. Saints, he called this the worst draft he's ever had. But that first pick, right guard, I think he'll start immediately. He's a good player. But now I'm starting to see the rest of it. These guys are just whatever. So that's probably a C- draft for the Saints. Seahawks was a CPU draft, but he got some good players on that offensive line. Those 2 guys right there, Stanley and Lolito, they will probably start. The rest of these guys, nothing special right there, but that's a C+ draft for getting that offensive line help. Steelers was a CPU draft. I hope he'll be back soon. You got Barber and Goings. Those 2 guys will help on the offensive line. He definitely needed help there. But the rest of it, once again, not that impressive. That's a C draft. CPU. Texans were a CPU team. Sharp in the second round was good value at free safety. Did get a little speed at receiver right there, but also possession, so he can probably catch. Quarterback in the third round to replace Deshaun Watson was a good value, 76 overall. Lavallee at left tackle, good value in the 5th. I'll give that a B- for the CPU, not bad. Cody and the Titans. I thought he got a good value right there with Cumberland at 15. Really good, versatile defensive lineman. And then we got some other guys, a tall receiver in Morency with 91 speed is always good. Good value in the 3rd, and corner and Grant. Then he stepped away, so I won't hold that too much against him. That's a B draft right there for the Titans. Good job. And then finally with the Vikings, didn't have a pick to the 3rd round. Then he started picking some guys with some physical talents. And, there's nothing ever wrong with that. Doesn't stand out right here because you don't see the physical talent with the speed and size or whatever. But I'd give that a C+ draft right there for the Vikings. Alright, so those are the draft grades. Thanks for watching, guys. Great draft. And always, I appreciate it.